Yo, welcome back to another episode of UX Dive. I am your host, Josué Nduwayo. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of the applications that we use for graphic design, right? In the UX space, when you're designing an experience, you're not just designing interfaces, right? So you have to also design the promotional materials around the features or like the specific product, right? So in that, you're designing graphics for that, you're designing perhaps some motion graphics, but today we're gonna focus on just the graphics. So we're gonna jump into one of the most common tools in the graphic design space, that is Photoshop. And I've already opened a new document, so you can see it here. So when you first enter the interface, this all looks very daunting because, if you haven't used it before, this looks very complex and there's a lot of right? So it's hard to comprehend at first glance, right? But I'm going to, quickly run through the most common tools or most commonly used tools and kind of just show you the interface so that it makes it easier for anyone who's just starting out to use Photoshop. And perhaps if you have been using Photoshop, maybe you'll learn a thing or two. So when we jump in, we have all these different tools, right? And I guess to start off, let me just do an overview of the interface, right? So on the left side here, you have a panel that's used just for tools, right? And when you hover over each tool, you can see what that tool does. And usually you'll get like an overview of what that tool does, right? Because there's like a quick animations that can show you what the tool does. On the right side, you have your panels, which are going to be usually used for properties and adjustments for whatever layer you're working with, right? So on the right, the main ones to keep in mind is the properties, and that's going to be showing the properties of whatever layer that you've selected. Down here you have the layers. That's going to show you, all the layers that you have in your document, and you're going to be able to change the order by just clicking and moving. And you have a bunch of adjustments for whichever layer. So with Photoshop, because you're working with with Adobe, I think really, you're working with layers. So to make a final image, you're creating different layers and then putting them on top of each other to help you, create a good final image. And that's like the best way to work, right? Rather than having one layer and then doing it all in one. So let me just quickly run through the most common tools, and I'm going to start from the top. This is the Move tool, right? The shortcut is V. I think shortcuts will come later, but just so that you can know the tools. So the Move tool is for when you want to move around different layers. So this allows you to, direct click and then just move however you want to move it. We have the rectangular marquee tool with the shortcut M, and that's for when you want to select an area of a layer that is, rectangular. This is pretty basic. So there's also the quick selection tool with the shortcut W, and this is usually for selecting similar areas in a layer. So when you have an image and you want to select as an example, like a specific object, you can use the quick selection tool and then just select that. Jumping down to the brush and the pencil tool. These work pretty much the same way, and they work in the same manner as if you're using a brush on paper or a pencil on paper, right? So with the brush tool, you have more girth. You have more brushy feel. But with a pencil, you have more like lines and all that. Jumping down to the eraser, that's for when you have a layer and you want to erase some stuff of that layer. And again, this works like an eraser on, pen and paper. Jumping down, we have the type or text tool. This is for when you're creating, text on the canvas or on a layer on top of a layer. When you're adding text in, you just use that. We have the pen tool, and this is for creating complex shapes. It kind of operates the same as Illustrator for all you people who use Illustrator, which is basically, you're creating dots and, you're doing Bezier curves to create a shape. We lastly have the rectangle tool, although this is more just a shape tool. And this is for creating, tools just in general, right? And with most tools in Photoshop, you can just click, keep clicking, and you'll have this menu which allows you to choose different types of shapes, right? And can use that to create all sorts of shapes. And lastly, down here with this, the main thing that I want to highlight is this create new layer. So when you immediately get into Photoshop, you have a locked background layer, although this is not locked, which means that you cannot directly edit in anything, right? So like the eraser tool cannot work, and even like the brush tool. So what you do is there's a quick plus which allows you to create a completely empty layer, and you can use that to do your shenanigans however you want, right? I think those are the main tools. Please, for the designers out there, for the graphic designers out there, or just anyone who uses Photoshop, let us know if there are any tools that you personally like that we didn't cover, that you would like us to cover. If there are any features that you want to learn, let us know so we can do episodes on that. This has been your host, Josue Nduwayo. Thank you for watching another episode of UX Dive. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode.